Okay, I would like to call this workshop, Select Board Workshop to order. It's January 27th at 5:30. We'll save the pledge for our regular meeting. Hello.
Congratulations, the phone is working.
And there's been a report on it.
Oh, sorry, we didn't, we were noticing it.
First item on the agenda. Like a clown car here. First item on the agenda is the cost of living percentage. Becky, what do you have for us today?
So every year, we usually have this discussion for the select board to sort of, for budgeting purposes, set a COLA. So the managers usually circulate what other towns are doing, which I've printed. It went early this year, so there's not a lot of other data on there, but just a few towns. Looks like most are in the range of 2.5 to 3. Social Security is at 2.5, so I'm just sort of looking for a discussion and a budgeting percentage.
Mr. O'Brien,
Yes,
what are they doing in Yarmouth? Do you have any idea?
4%.
4%. 4% feels pretty good to me. 4.5. What would you say, Mr. O'Brien?
That would be in keeping with the inflation numbers, so as far as
What would you prefer to pick? Because we're under the gun here with salaries anyway.
I would go 4%.
4%. Can we just use that as a target?
Correct.
We'll see if any other figures come out. All right. So next item in the workshop is the warrant overview. I was so pleased to see the warrant in my select board email. Becky, can you talk about it a little bit?
Sure, it's in very rough draft form. So right now, obviously, the first article is our moderator. Our second article is always by secret ballot for our municipal officers. And then this year, we will have 2 other questions on the secret ballot for the liquor sales for shortstop that they circulated the petition. So those are Articles 3 and 4. The next set is for land use ordinances, so that's what planning board and planning are working on now. So I've just kind of got some empty spots there. So this is where we start to get into, more will come in the budget process, but the placeholder for the capital projects fund. Then the next question is, does the select board want to consider from unassigned fund again to put in like we have for the last couple of years? So I've kind of kept that placeholder there. Okay. And then we'll find out in their presentation what projects they may have. So I just left those couple of articles in place if there's any projects coming for either public safety or public works. Then we're just into our budget articles. Right now, these are just, this year's figures moved over and waiting the new figures. So all the way through, those pages are pretty basic and we'll update those as we get going. I've left a couple of blank articles in there in case any other budgetary items come up, requests from any committees that might be coming to the presentations coming up. So that's page 4. We get into revenues, be working on that. This is where I'm gonna ask some questions about what we want. So, and we may need to reach out to the Conservation Commission if they've got another piece of town-owned land planned for surveying this next year. So that first article under business, I've kind of left right now as placeholder where we pull from the impact fees to survey town-owned land, and that's been sort of their mission. Every year we've done a piece. So I've left that. The next article is to see if the select board wants to use from unassigned fund value to help minimize the tax rate increase. So I've left that as a placeholder for now. PCWA, that especially where we had to pull from the sinking fund, I'm assuming you're going to want any unexpended funds to go in into the sinking fund. So that's been historically one we've had for the last 3 years, I think. I'm leaving that placeholder for the next one on ARPA, in case we just need to reallocate what's left over there. Next one is a placeholder for the reevaluation. That is gonna go, get posted this week with new dates, so hopefully we'll actually have, some quotes this time. We tried it for 2027, we didn't get any quotes in the RFP, so we've moved it out to 2028. But we'll want to start putting money aside for the reevaluation. So I haven't worded that one out just yet. And then we're into our standard ones. The rest of these are all our tax due dates, unintentional interest, what interest rate, which the state should be putting out pretty soon. Our blanket grant, our 3% transfer, our accepting any unanticipated revenues, and the snowmobile club. My biggest question is there anything that has come up in the recent months that I've forgotten and haven't put on there?
Well, that's a good question. So, let's just sort of backtrack. Have we been reapproached by Tri-Town Penguins to become the bursar for their bridge fund?
So I got that email and a phone call from Androscoggin Bank, kind of outlining really what has to happen. And so I have sent that to legal to ask if it's something as a town, can we do, or do we need town meeting vote? I have not gotten an answer on that. They have not personally come to me. This was the bank that came to me.
So we'll have to assume that, I mean, we kicked it around, correct me, Andy and Kate, we kicked that around a little bit. But
Yeah.
did we come to any conclusion? I read that email, it seemed like an incredibly complicated.
Yeah, it's a little different from what they said when they came to the meeting a couple of weeks ago. It's not taking a loan, it's taking a revenue anticipated note. So, yeah, that's similar to a tax anticipation note, but you only take out what's guaranteed for the grant funds to be paid out. So we have no monetary loss or gain in it, yet we still are the grantors. We're taking it out and holding it and then getting reimbursed funds and expending the money to them. So this is my question, like, do we need town meeting vote for that?
Are we in any way jeopardizing, the town's financial standing?
Exactly.
Is there any liability if we become the holder of the purse strings if something goes afoul?
Correct.
Subject to litigation, panicking and stuff like that. It just felt, not sure. Well, I could be swayed if I had more information.
That's what I'm asking. We have the blanket article that allows you as a select board in the best interest of the town to apply for grants, but this isn't a grant. This is different. And the initial emails, they're like, oh, well, everybody has that blanket grant article, so the town is fine, but this is not a grant. This is something different.
And I don't think I would like to go forward at all unless it goes to town meetings. What do you think about that, Mr. O'Brien, Ms. Day? Wouldn't you agree that that would be a town meeting?
I would like to hear from legal what their opinion is before I,
I agree that it's more involved than it seemed to be initially.
So would you like to wait for legal as well?
Oh, yeah.
So any correspondence
I will forward. Yep.
back and forth? Any other comments to O'Brien or Ms. Day about possible additions to the warrant that we might have to include here while we have it at the nascent stage?
are we gonna, excuse me, are we going to have to include the Tuttle Road abandonment on a town meeting vote?
Yes.
So that would have to go in there too.
Good catch. So, and that should not be within land use ordinances. That should be a separate article.
I put it under business articles. Yeah.
And we need to get state stature language on that.
I'll ask for legal to write the article wording. Yeah.
Excellent. Can't think of, I mean, I think the CEOs and the town planner are working on a group of land use corrections, amendments, and you have a place for that. I think we've kept it pretty simple due to our staffing.
Mhm.
So we're sort of coming out of that. This is great.
Things might pop up in the next month or two. I just wanted to make sure I hadn't missed any conversations recently, or I feel like I get to February and I'm like, oh, I need to add that. Oh, we talked about that. So I just wanted to have that conversation.
There's nothing from the state that's going to require any new town meeting vote,
Not that I'm aware.
new dog.
Not that I'm aware.
All right, any more discussion about?
That's the only thing that I could find.
Great. All right, so let's talk about the TIF budget.
So I talked with Donna a little bit about game planning. So the way our application was built is we can put X amount aside to offset the town planner salary, the town administrator salary, and towards a future building. But we're not really gonna know what that is until after taxes are assessed. And she's not sure. She was anticipating the value to increase about 300,000. So looking at their tax bill, it doesn't look like it's gonna be a large amount. And our thought was to not budget for this year and then see what we're collecting, and then we can decide if you're, where you want to put that money. Right, what will have to happen is it will have to go into a separate fund at the bank. So I have to open another account. And the money that we keep goes into that, and we refund through the credit enhancement, the agreement money that we have made with Esterbrook's. And then we'll have a sense of what you want to do with it. So it's, after speaking with Donna, I'm thinking that we're really a year out from needing to budget for it now.
So let's just do an example. Let's just. What is Donna thinking the tax bill will be in this current structure?
I looked at it last week. I should have jotted the figures down. She's thinking she's gonna move it up about 300,000 in eval, because it's mostly land development that she can, and she can write out, I should probably have her write out a little memo about this, because all of their buildings through the Betty part of it will be exempt from us assessing taxes on, because of the way they've applied for a certain thing. Through their loans, or again, she can explain it so much better. So we're only able to really adjust any improvements to the land, and she doesn't think it's gonna be a lot this year. So if that was the case, I think we were looking at something like 1,500 a quarter, and half of that goes back to them. So we might only be looking at, 3,000 going into that account, which isn't really enough to offset salaries. So maybe it goes in for a future building, but just something to think about. When I think it will be easier when I have figures, like solid figures after we assess the mill rate in July and we know what their valuation's gonna be, then we can plan for next year what you really want to do with that money.
So there's, if I'm understanding you, because of their Betty application, we're gonna have limited taxation privileges on their building unless we change our personal property tax.
We will have to in the reevaluation because it's state law now.
Right, that's what I was.
Yes.
getting to. So we might as well wait rather than trying to push that boat or into the harbor.
Right.
Let the state force.
I agree. I just think if we try to estimate and we try to offset salaries right now to help there, and then we're off on our numbers, then we're off on our technical revenue collection there. So it's better to have solid figures and go into budgeting next year. I asked her how she did it in other towns, and she said most other towns, it goes into a fund and then they determine what they're gonna do for it later. But where we built in the possibility of offsetting some salaries in there, it's something we may have to budget for, yeah, down the road.
So that leads the question, because of the change in taxation formula, is it a thought to build a TIF around the CMP improvement? That's going to boost their valuation by about 18%.
Mm.
Sizable amount of money. And it may be inconsequential in terms of school evaluation, but that's only going to continue to increase. If we build a TIF structure already. That's something that the board would like to send to the town planner to investigate?
I think it would be a good idea.
Okay, so we will send that down to Tom, because there's also I've been talking to other select board members, there's a huge battery construction project in Lincoln. They're still talking about one down in Sororic, so if that were to come, it'd be nice to have something in place.
Being discussed at a neighboring town as well, yeah.
They're building an ordinance.
Yeah.
Conversation with them. So. All right, so we'll send that on to Tom. Okay.
Great.
Does everybody agree with Becky's assessment on just putting that TIFT revenue in a fund, and this year will just be shielding it from the RSU evaluation? That's all we're gonna get for that. Okay, no, it's good. All right, next item is department head evaluation schedule.
So I was talking with Andy last week, and maybe in the interest of time, we thought about a different approach to the department head eval. So I'll kind of throw that out there and we'll talk about disadvantages, advantages. So typically what I try to do is schedule a 30-minute executive session. We have 6 that we need to meet with. Coming up on these budget meetings, they can be really long. So I'm trying to see how I can better use your time. That maybe the liaison fills out the form, circulates it amongst you, and then the liaison meets directly with the person. That would save some time and gives us a lot more flexibility in scheduling. I personally do feel a benefit of sitting with all 3 of you in my email. That's just me personally. I'm not speaking for any other department
It's
head
just
there.
an idea.
It's just an idea in the interest of time, because coming into the budget cycle, starting in 2 weeks, just try not to make those nights be 5 hours.
So when are we hoping to have the evaluations done? Or can we just sort of talk?
Sure. They would need to be done prior to March 3rd, because the compensation budget is presented on March 10th, and I have to circulate it 7 days before. So
And when are we asking department heads to evaluate their employees?
I am working on mine, and I have mentioned to the other department heads they should be working on those now.
So you might say that they should have theirs done by February 21st?
Sure.
All right, so, it's my personal preference, one of 3. I much rather have all 3 of us. I think 3 heads are better than 1 when it comes to hearing and to being fair. I know, like.
No, I agree.
If I were evaluating you, you'd take a beating, so I think to have some allies there, so. What do you think, Ms. Day?
I would prefer to have all 3 of us, and in part because it helps enlighten me to what's going on in other departments rather than, because I'm not zoned for.
Andy, would you defer to?
Oh, I'm fine. Yeah, it was just an idea to save time.
Appreciate your thoughts on efficiency. So, having said that, Um, Andy, do we still have our trustee forms?
I do.
Good.
I have it saved.
You're a good
Me too.
man. You do as well? So looking at the calendar,
So can I interject one other idea to that?
Carol of your event.
Yes, well, we also want to have a workshop with Ben McCall from Jensen Baird at some point. So maybe in the Monday in between the two select board meetings, that we could set an earlier late afternoon meeting with Ben, and then we could at least get a couple done that day, and that would help with building the schedule out. You'd have to look at your calendar, but, and see if he's available.
Well, if I could interject,
Absolutely.
the third, can you get your calendar out, Andy, on your third Monday in February?
That might be a holiday.
That's why I'm.
Yeah.
Because I go on school vacation at some. point.
Right.
It is President's Day.
So how about the third Tuesday in February? People are going to be here,
I should be.
okay? Okay, it is the week of February vacation, right? What if we started at 3?
Okay.
And we went. At 3:00, we did the town administrator.
Okay.
3:45, we did the. Yeah, just giving 15 minutes.
That's the 18th.
Yes, sir.
I will not, well, I should be back in town around 3. I'm gone for the weekend.
All right, well, it can be. we
It can be moved a little
We can
bit.
move it to the Wednesday if you're not gonna be back. You have cell service from where you're gonna go?
No.
How about if we did it on Wednesday then?
The 19th.
That would make it so that you could get out of the Klondike and we'd be all right.
Yes.
So 3:00 would be the town administrator, 3:45 would be the town planner. 4:30 would be the code enforcement officers or officer, just do the code enforcement officer. That'll be good for that day. And then the Thursday, we'll do the deputy code enforcement officer at 3:30.
The code enforcement officer will do his.
Oh, that's right. I'm
Yes.
sorry. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you.
So you'll have road commissioner, fire chief, and ACO.
Perfect. Yes. And we would see Ben probably after.
Okay. I'll find out what dates he has too, and we'll figure it out, so. Please.
Sir.
Thursday evening, the fire department has a meeting, so can I go first?
Sure. Thank you. Okay, does that feel?
That's great.
comfortable for everybody?
Yep, that's great.
All right, if anything should change, we'll alert those people.
I'm gonna send out tomorrow email to everyone, especially with the budget cycle timeline and everything as a reminder, so.
So is there any purpose to sending out a sample questionnaire for the evaluation, or are we just going to surprise them with questions? Or I know in the past, they've just sat
We-
down cold.
We have the standard form that everybody's using, so we know what form you're gonna fill out. I mean, I don't,
Pretty much has
Yeah.
the what we're rating them on, so.
We should send that form out to them so they know what they're being rated on, okay? So this is what we're rating you on. We have our own questions, but these other
Yep.
categories. I don't want it to be like a surprise. Kate, do you agree with that or Andy? Good. Right. Annual report. Are we all done? Are we all set with that?
Yep, I'm good.
Annual report dedication.
Just putting a placeholder, sort of a bug in our ear to be thinking about who or what group we want to dedicate the annual report to this year. So if you have thoughts or ideas, I just want to have the conversation and keep it going so we don't get to April and trying to figure it out. We did future facilities last year as a group.
In your part of town, anybody like stepping to the podium?
Not right at the moment, but I haven't really thought about it much.
Something to think about over the next few weeks. So.
Great. Have we had our annual request from the Spirit of America? band?
I'm expecting it anytime.
We did get an email from them. Yeah, we'll probably get several more.
As we go forward, have we had any, we should probably think ahead about requests for funds from NPOs and nonprofit community. We've historically just donated to Freeport Community Services.
We do Freeport Community Services, the Teen Center, which I can't remember their legal name, but the Teen Center, and there's one other in in the shelter.
Is that the way we want to, it saves a lot of time if we can decide if that's, we want to continue that.
Report Community Services Through These Doors and Teen Port Center. Oh,
Kingport Center is still up and running.
I haven't gotten an invoice for the last couple of years, so that was gonna be my question in the budget
I'm
cycle.
not sure they are.
Okay. I'll look into that.
All right. Is there any other conversation for the workshop? We have some time here. Andy, any thoughts about? And we set in our workshop the budget schedule, or is the budget schedule already set?
It's part of new business. The budget committee is supposed to be joining us at the regular meeting, or members of the budget committee.
So there'll be no purpose to discuss it before then. So. Nice job on the sign. No, that's gotta come under regular meeting, but nice to see a change.
It's part of a little report out I have tonight, so.
So unless there's any comment from the audience, I think we'll come out of workshop. And I'm going to ask for about 5 or 6 minutes before we go into our regular town meeting.
So the regular meeting is posted for 6:30.
Oh.
Yeah, because we thought we were gonna need an hour for this. So you might have time to register your vehicle now.
there you go.
This time. Okay, so we'll have to meeting at 6:30. Good evening. I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Pownell Select Board on January 27th, 2025. As is our custom, I'd like you all to stand if you can and pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. First item on the agenda is fiscal year 24 AP warrant number 17 in the amount of $533,387.93.
I will move that we pay fiscal year 24 AP warrant number 17 in the amount of $533,387.93.
I second.
Been moved and seconded to pay fiscal year AP warrant number 17, the amount of $533,387.93. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is payroll journal number 285 in the amount of $12,546.48.
I will move that we pay payroll journal number 285 in the amount of $12,546.48.
I second.
Been moved and seconded to pay payroll journal number 285 in the amount of $12,546.48. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is minutes of January 13th, 2025, a regular scheduled select board meeting.
I will move that we accept the minutes of January 13th, 2025 regular meeting as provided.
Moved and seconded to accept the minutes of January 13th, 2025 regular select board meeting as recorded. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Thank you, Kathy Hoag. Well done. Next item on the agenda is public comment, non-agenda item. This is an opportunity for any resident of the town of Pownell to step forward and be heard by the select board. Are there any residents from the town of Pownell in attendance that are not on the agenda would like to be heard? Good, step forward. Would you please come up and just introduce yourself and tell us where you are, you're a resident, where do you live?
Okay. My name's Jennifer Powell and I live at 203 Chadsey. Sorry, it's been a day. So I kind of have a land dispute, but I don't know if it'd be considered a dispute. My title
For a
is,
second, Jennifer.
yeah,
So you are on the agenda.
I am on there.
You are
Okay,
on
so I can go sit and then I can come back.
Go back and collect yourself and get used to what's going on. Okay. Are there any other residents from the town of Pownell that would like to have their voice heard by the select board? Seeing none, department head reports. Department head reports can be viewed on the respective website pages. You go to their department, you click on their link, and the reports are there. Are there any questions for the department heads that are present here from the select board? Mr. O'Brien?
None from here.
Stay. And I have none either. Is there any report from the select board at this time?
I have nothing to report
All
out.
right, neither do I. So we move to new business. First item of new business is a budget cycle discussion with the budget committee, and I would like to invite the budget committee to sit at the table with us and
Might have to bring one chair.
sorry, Jennifer.
Go over there.
Jennifer will take that. Right here would be great. And just for our clarification, could you just introduce yourself in the mic and so that people who will be watching know who you are?
Hi, I'm Donna Watson, 584 Poland Range Road.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Giuliano, 63 Verrill Road.
Hi, Jenna Shu, 24 Allen Road.
Very much. All right. Becky.
Okay, so I have prepared a timeline of the budget cycle to review. And one thing that actually just popped up in a conversation with Jennifer too was last year we started a little early. So do we want to consider starting at 6 p.m. on select board nights with all the presentations? I think that probably makes sense. So we're getting out of here at a decent time. I've also moved things around a little bit because the last presentation seemed to be a pretty big night with public safety, the CAP committee, compensation and revenues. So I have put some of the smaller budgets on the February 10th. General government, human services, Mallet Hall, debt service, planning board, and PCWA. I know that sounds like a lot, but many of those are just a couple of lines. Planning board falls under the general government as it is, so I think that that's fairly doable to get done in the first one. By doing that, it gave me a little bit of wiggle room in the next one. So typically we do revenues on the last, but on February 24th, I have put Public Works, Revenues, Rec Committee, and Solid Waste. Couple of larger ones there, but I still think that's manageable. Then March 10th would be Public Safety, CAP Committee, and Compensation, and that would end the presentations to move into the recommendations.
No cemetery commission?
Cemetery, oh, well, yeah, I can put that one, we could put that one at the beginning because it's only 2 lines. Thank you for reminding me of that one.
Let's backtrack a little bit.
Sure.
So,
Absolutely.
thank you for having, when would be a good time in your lives to meet? Would 6 o'clock before a regular scheduled meeting work for you? Is 6 o'clock inconvenient for you? Can we set these meetings at 6 o'clock?
6 o'clock works for me.
6 o'clock would work for me as well.
So we'll, I'm sorry, Jenna.
Yes, works for me too.
You're not yet. And we'll just run with the budget committee until we're done on those particular meetings. So
Yeah.
we'll get you out as fast as we can.
They typically excuse once the presentations are done and have a meeting to just go over the information and any initial questions that they want to come back with at the next meeting. So it works out pretty good. They become the first order of business and then they move on.
We should check with Matt Roy
Okay.
also, just to make sure.
Yes. Yep. I will circulate an email tomorrow with the more detailed information. Yes.
Thanks.
So we're going to this with a 4-person budget committee?
Correct.
And just to be sure, does the process feel efficient to the 3 board members here to, that's dual presentation with the budget committee and the select board? Does that work? Yeah. I don't want to.
I thought it worked perfectly last time.
Perfectly?
Yeah, I thought it was, I thought it was great last time because we all heard the same things. We all got to ask questions at the same time. You know, we did sort of dual notes to make sure we had everything captured in addition to what was recorded. So I think it's a really good process.
I thought it was beneficial too, because it drew more people in the public to have both meetings on the same evenings, which I think just builds more awareness, more questions. Yeah.
Jenna, do you agree? Good. Okay. Andy and Kate? All right, good.
And the other piece to that is department heads will circulate their spreadsheet a week before the meeting. So everybody has a chance to look at it and come with some prepared questions for the most part too. But there are always the pop-up questions as the information is presented. That seemed to work really well for everybody.
That prior notification is, I think, is absolutely critical to having an informed meeting.
Yeah, I agree.
And perhaps we could post those on the website so that a resident who want to come and ask questions could also be equally informed. So it's not a surprise to them.
Yeah, we are starting to now having Jaylene on board, build out more of the budget in the town calendar, feature it more in the constant contact. If residents have looked, they'll see there's a lot of RSU 5 up already because their budget process has started. So we intend on doing the same thing with the panel budget process.
Okay, so could you continue on your?
Absolutely. So March 10th would end presentations. And right now I only have a placeholder for potentially March 17th for the budget committee's meeting for them to vote on recommendations. Now, if they need more, we obviously will need to build in time, more meetings, but we could. There would be time during that timeframe to do that. Typically, you've done it in 1 or 2 after that. So that piece might be a little bit more, up in the air as if we need another one after the 17th or even before. Because then I put it at March 24th, the select board would vote on their recommendations for the warrant. And then we go into the public hearings set for the two select board meetings in April. So that's April 14th and April 28th. That would put us on schedule for the select board approving the warrant on May 12th. And then our municipal officers election is June 10th, and our annual town meeting would be June 23rd.
Are there any questions from the budget committee or from the select board this budget cycle time?
So if we needed to have another session, in addition to March 17th for like budget committee votes and recommendations, would that have to be before March 24th?
No, because we could always set one of the public hearings on and off Monday night if we needed to. So we've got some wiggle room into April, so we could set those around a time that's convenient for you. So it could be after the 17th if it needed to be.
Yeah, March 17th is St. Patrick's.
I know it's St. Patrick's Day.
Or you could always wear your green outfit, Andy. All right, well, this looks great. Thank you very much, Becky.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Budget Committee, for your service to the town. I look forward to these meetings. It's always, it feels to me to be a much better process.
It is.
The labels before. Sure, the department heads are very grateful for just having to stand to one inquisition, I suppose. So,
So I will circulate a follow-up email to everybody, hopefully tomorrow or by Wednesday, just recapping and outlining dates again and giving a few more details for people for the process. Yep.
Yeah, John, can I also just add, I think that the message in the last update was excellent.
And the constant contact?
Yeah, well, the message that was really reinforcing this, that people should, more that people can come to these joint meetings, then that's where we really get into the deeper detail and everyone can ask questions. And then you come to the annual meeting very prepared, with your opinions, but you've already heard some of the deeper details. So I thought that message was terrific. Thanks. I don't know who wrote it, but I think we should just keep reinforcing
Our
that.
deputy clerk wrote
Yeah,
that.
it was very good.
Yes, it was very
It
good.
was very, very good.
right, unless there's anything further, thank you very much.
Thanks.
We will see you our first one, February 10th. Thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda is volunteer form. Andy,
Spoke to Brandon, he just is looking to get his feet wet, and he may expand to more committees later, but he would like to be on the Economic Development and Sustainability Committee.
okay, can you?
So I will move that we appoint him to the Economic Development and Sustainability Committee.
A second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor? Thank you, Brandon, for your service. Next item on the agenda is the recommitment of taxes. Becky, can you just give an explanation of what we're doing here?
Sure. So when I departed, we committed taxes to Pascal for collection of 2025. So we did a settlement out of my name and then a commitment into her name. So we're really sort of reversing that. So now we're settling the amount that's still owed for the 2025 taxes in Pascal's name. And then we're recommitting the taxes back into my name as the tax collector.
So to be official, I have to read this. So put on your seatbelt. Here we go. Certificate of Settlement, County of Cumberland, State of Maine to Pascal DeSalle, tax collector municipality of Pownell within this county. We hereby certify the 2025 taxes committed to you consisting of real and personal tax commitments, $5,189,743.17. Supplemental commitments totaling $0. Interest, $462.10. The grand total of $5,190,205.27. Cash payments, $2,743,264.13. Abatements granted, $710.09. Tax lien mortgages recorded in the Cumberland County Registry of Deeds, 0. Other credits, 0. Net total, $2,743,974.22. Balance due of $2,446,231.05. Under authority contained in MRSA Title 36, Section 763, as amended, we hereby discharge you of further liability or obligation to collect the balance due of $2,444,231.05 and acknowledge receipt of the tax list for the taxable year 2025. Andy, would you like to move to approve?
I will move that we approve, and I will not reiterate what you just said.
I second that.
Moved and seconded to, absolve Pascal of liability under MRSA Title 36, Section 763, given under our hands this 27th day of January 2025. All in favor? Certificate of recommitment, Cumberland County of Cumberland, excuse me, State of Maine, to Rebecca Taylor Chase, tax collector of the municipality of Pownell. Herewith are committed to you true list of the assessment of the estates of the persons therein named. You are to levy and collect the same of each one his, her respective amount therein set down of the sum total of $2,450,512.23, being the yet uncollected amount of the list contained herein, according to the tenor of the foregoing warrant. Andy,
Move to accept or approve.
move to approve the certificate of recommitment.
Second.
Moving seconded to approve the certificate of recommitment to Rebecca Taylor Chase of $2,450,512.23. All in favor? Give it under our hands this 27th day of January 2025. It's a lot of money, Becky. Don't go very far. All right, next item on the agenda is the capital CAP. Can you just tell me what that stands for now?
Capital Asset Planning.
Committee, Capital Asset Planning Committee.
Andy, you're up.
So we got an email from the Capital Asset Planning Committee, dear Select Board members. The Capital Asset Planning Committee at its meeting on December 4th reviewed the Town of Pownell impact fee ordinance with respect to the committee charge that impact fees should be considered as a source of funds for the acquisition or replacement of items listed on the asset schedule of the capital asset plan. The ordinance I don't know what that is. The committee noted the focus of the ordinance is in 4 specific areas, notably recreation, open space, public works, and public safety. An essential element of the ordinance is that no portion of these shall be used for routine maintenance or operational activities. Specifically, impact fee funds are to be used to pay for the capital cost of the infrastructure improvement. After considerable discussion, the committee is seeking clarification of certain areas of the ordinance before determination is made as to if or how the funds may be used by the committee for the acquisition or replacement of items on the asset schedule of the capital plan. The committee respectfully requests the Select Board to seek clarification on the following questions. 1, what is the definition of the term infrastructure as used in the ordinance? Specifically, the committee needs to know what is included as infrastructure in public safety and public works, for instance. Does infrastructure only include items that do not move, or is rolling stock like dump trucks, graders, excavators, and fire trucks also included as infrastructure? The ordinance includes businesses in its scope as noted, the ordinance includes businesses in its scope as noted in section 4, but all of the calculations of fees are based on the number of bedrooms. How are businesses being assessed their contribution to the various impact fee accounts? 3, apportionment of impact fees. The committee questions the rationale and how the 696 per bedroom impact fee is apportioned. Of the total collected per bedroom, 336 or 48% of the fee is allocated to recreation. $127 or 18% is allocated to open space. 148 or 21% is allocated to public works, which leaves $85 or 12% to be allocated to public safety. This allocation of funds does not seem to track historically with the need to add or replace infrastructure in the town. Additionally, 33%, $230 per bedroom of the impact fees collected for public works and public safety do not generate a meaningful amount of funding for the town's public works and public safety infrastructure, no matter how it is defined. The committee would appreciate the select board's response to the above items so that we may continue our review to determine how or if the impact fee funds could be used in support of the capital plan.
Thank you, Andy. That was a good reading. So, I'm not quite sure that this is, given my first reading of these questions, the first thing, I'm going to move that we table this and go and have a workshop with the capital assets planning committee. We'll have to reach out to them on a available date, but this is an ordinance that was voted on by town meeting, which we have zero ability to change in a discussion. So, but I want to be able to clarify their questions. I think that they're asking for clarification, but we have limited ability to modify. So can we ask them to come at 6 o'clock as our next meeting date, whatever that would be?
It's February 10th. We were going to start at 6 for budget presentations.
Can they come at 5:30?
Sounds good. I will reach out with an email tomorrow to them.
You just, and I will also, with the board's permission, I'll reach out to Mr. Schuman too, to clarify why we tabled and not.
Yes.
Okay. All right, next item on the agenda is Mallet Hall Dormer RFP. Becky.
So you have a draft that Kathy Hoag prepared that I sent to you last week. We haven't filled in dates yet because we figured we could figure that out after, but just to make sure as far as language and objectives, if that all looks good to you, we'll get it out there to see what we'll get for quotes.
So this is in response to a request from citizens that the process go out to bid to our, is that correct?
I believe so, yes.
Nice job, Kathy. This is well done. So can we vote to move this to a final copy? Andy, have you looked at this?
I have. I would move that we move this to a final copy and leave the dates and times to the town administrator.
You second that?
I second that.
Seconded to move the draft to final RFP proposal. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Thank you very much, Kathy. This is great. Next item on the agenda is Apple Blossom Bond Refund. Becky.
So Michelle Harrison reached out with this email that I printed for you all requesting $119,775.72 be returned to her from the bond for the work that's been done. I know Matt has looked at the road at least once, and you were all good with that.
The road's good, except for the top coat.
The
of
top coat.
asphalt, which they're holding.
Correct. And then the cistern, so the fire chief and road commissioner have signed off on that, so it's just a matter of the board approving the refund.
Can we get signatures in writing? Can you just write a memo?
Perfect.
Okay, on reception of that. Andy?
On reception of memos from fire chief and public works director, I would move that we refund the amount requested.
Second.
Seconded to refund the, request for bond refund. The amount of $119,775.72 to Gray Ghost Construction. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? So as soon as you get the memos, please send that along. Next item on the agenda is Tuttle Road. Andy, this is yours.
Well, actually, well, we talked about, abandoning the old Tuttle Road a while back, and Natalie retired in the meantime. So we've got to bring our new attorney up to speed on this and start the process for public hearings and such.
Okay, can we set, I think, I feel pretty confident that we could set public hearings on this. I think we're gonna meet with the gentleman hopefully in February, so could we set public hearings on the abandonment at the same time as budget committee, budget public hearings?
The warrant public hearings, I think that makes sense since we'll have warrant articles for them too, so, or a warrant article, so absolutely. So that would be April 14th and April 28th.
Patient appellant. Sitting in the audience. We're just gonna, can you just shout out those public hearing dates?
April 14th and April 28th.
Set to go. by-
And we'll get notice, everybody.
Yeah, we have to
Yes.
do legal notice to all the butters.
Okay, you're any? Perfect, thank you. You all set with that?
Yes.
Okay, you all set? Good. All right, next item on the agenda is, Jennifer Powell. Please shoot you too, I'm sorry. Map 9, lot 11 and 14 is the topic of discussion.
It's primarily 11. I can do 14 a different day too. Okay, so this dates back to either the 1800s or the 1900s, depending on which part you're looking at. So Jacob and I currently live at B. A long time ago, so this has been in the family for years and years and years, hundreds of years. Way back in the day, a guy that was the generation before Jacob's great-grandparents owned this whole lot. He had allowed the town to use these two little lots right here, called the schoolhouse lots, to do the school. This pie piece is a mess. You can read it on our attorney and their attorney's paperwork. I have my title attorney and your attorney's letters. Our big thing is, they both agree, both attorneys agree that Lot A, this part of the parcel, we should still own. This was deeded in our heirs' names, and the town took over the entire lot, not just this part. That's our issue. Your attorney and our attorney agree that this piece, the schoolhouse lots in this pie piece, is messy. But both attorneys agree that this entire lot should still be in our name. And I don't know who needs to have this paperwork, but there's paperwork downstairs about it too.
We have it
You
right.
have it right there, okay. I knew it was photocopied, but I wasn't sure where it was at. So that's my dilemma is we'd like to get the majority of A back if possible, and both attorneys agree. This part's messy and we can figure that out on a different day if it can get figured out. But the majority of this lot should still be ours. And there's a ton of deeds that state so.
Can you just say what lot that is?
Yeah,
again?
this is lot 11.
That's lot 11.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The little pie piece is 14.
Okay.
The schoolhouse lots are part of 11, but that's here nor there right now. But it's the majority of Lot A, which is 1.9 acres. Is
Okay, thank you.
that it?
I just
No?
wanted to
it?
correlate to
Okay.
which lot I was reading.
no,
on
that's
here
fine.
Because like the visual is very helpful for me when I'm looking at this.
Yeah, me too.
Appreciate
'Cause
it.
this is not my thing, clearly.
So, Jennifer.
Yep.
to-
My name says Jessica on the thing, but it's Jennifer. Your attorney put my name as Jessica.
well,
That's all good.
I'm going to summarize your request because
Okay.
we're going to take this under advisement.
Yeah, it's a lot messier than what I've like very summarized it. There's a lot more literature that explains it.
Want to make sure that we know what your petition.
Yeah.
is.
Okay.
You are asking for the select board to consider your request that the lot labeled A
Mhm.
in the paperwork exhibit 1 that you have presented to us,
Mhm.
which is Town of Pownell claims map 9, lot 11,
Mhm.
to be belong to the heirs of the Petersons, which would be you, Ella Powell, and Jacob J. Peterson.
Yes, the original heir was a Skillen, but his first name was, this is Jacob's family.
This-
Yes, thank you. Yes. And his heirs would have been Jacob's great grandparents and then his grandparents and then his father and then now us.
Asking us to consider at this time, schoolhouse.
No, because that's really messy. And the attorney, both attorneys agree that it's just messy, but they both agree that the majority of the lot right here should be still ours, because that's not what was deeded back in the day for use.
Okay, so we will take this information
Mhm.
and we will schedule a workshop within 2 weeks.
Okay,
And we'll notify you, invite you.
Okay.
that Probably might be time to invite our attorney.
Mhm.
We'll invite our code enforcement. We'll have everybody there.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay. Deal.
Can't guarantee a date, but.
That's fine. That's fine. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Do make sure to notate that we will have to schedule. Thank you. Next item is the food truck policy. Bill, you step forward. Thank you. Can you just give us, you just introduce yourself? Because
Yeah, Bill Schmidt, Deputy Code Enforcement Officer, Poland Range Road.
Thank you. So you have presented the select board with a very well rewarded Town of Pownell food truck policy in response to a request by Bradbury Mountain State Park to allow a food truck on their premises. Is that correct?
Yes.
Has the select board read the policy, and does the select board have any questions for the author of this policy? Mr. Giddings help as well, or is this your baby?
Oh, Tom, Freeport, Brickyard Hollow, and also,
Be the-
Bradbury Mountain.
Be the spokesperson.
Yes.
Does the select board have any questions before voting on this policy? This is well written. I think it's very clear. I think there's very little cause for dispute or confusion, so. Okay.
I think I need a little clarification on part A, number 1. The food truck must be located on the same property as the permitted use on town, state, or private property. So that just means, once they've done this permit, the location has to be the same.
Yes, yes.
Good Humor will not be able to use this permit.
They can't drive all around down the street. beckoning
They'd like to, as much as
children
I'd like to.
come.
They can't have music either.
Yeah, other than that, I didn't, yeah.
Great. So, Mr. O'Brien, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes, I will move that the town of Pownell adopt, or the select board adopt the town of Pownell food truck policy as presented.
A second.
Been moved and seconded to adopt the town of Pownell food truck policy as written. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Well done. Thank you for doing it. Timely and well written. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is we're done, new business. Any other new business? Right.
I have no more.
Then we move to old business. We have the cannabis special event policy. You have it before you. Does anybody have any questions?
Short, sweet, and to the point. I like
Wait, are
it.
you all set?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
I have no questions, and I would move that we adopt the town of Pownell sale of cannabis and cannabis products at special events policy.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded with a lot of gratitude for its brevity and clarity from the men in the CEO office. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? The policy is adopted. Thank you, gentlemen. Mr. Giddings. Next item on the agenda is there any other old business? Do we have any other old business kicking around? I have one item of old business. I am so grateful for the change in the sign. Becky Taylor Chase, it is a act of divine intervention to see that the select board meeting time was posted on that thing and it had nothing to do with the temperature. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Once I got back into the account and got my slide that I had created, it was good. I actually signed up on Wednesday for a 1 hour sort of Zoom to learn how we could better utilize the sign, but I can get the basics. I can get something scheduled, and I don't know if anybody came through last weekend. Did it happen to show that we were closed? So I had scheduled a slide to appear during the day that the office was closed on Monday for the holiday, but I didn't get over here to see if it was, but it was. Oh, great. So it worked then. So, yep. We're getting there.
Right, do you have any other reports?
Well, this might be under old business, actually. As I was catching up on the November and December meetings, there was a discussion on Cunningham Security and where we were on that. So I just wanted to bring you up to speed that we had signed the contract. I had sent it over in October, and then it kind of got befuddled over there. And they have now moved it forward, and on February 12th, they are scheduled to come in and make the switch to them. So it's all scheduled and ready to go. We have not paid out the deposit yet either. They didn't even ask. They just got it scheduled. Yep, absolutely.
Any other old business? Is there any correspondence?
I got a phone call. From a Pownell resident who said, "May I speak to John Morris?" I said, "This is Kay Day. Do you have a question for someone on the select board?" And he said, "Yes." So I spoke with Paul Kerrigan, who filled out a volunteer form, and apparently the volunteer form was approved and passed at a select board meeting. I think he said he filled out the form at the November election. And there was some question in his mind as to what committee he was going to be on and how to proceed.
So Paul asked to be on a committee. And then I said, what committee would you like to be on? And then Paul said, I don't know. I said, well, why don't you come to a select board meeting and we can talk about it? Paul has not showed yet, so I'm still waiting and I will get back to him. Because it's put in his ball, his court.
That-
Thank you for.
That was pretty much what I told.
Excellent, thank you. I have some correspondence, and it's good to see the chairperson of the Solid Waste Committee here. So, my trash, once again, was not picked up. So I ventured into the Casella app, which is, to me, down a rabbit hole. So I went to the Casella app, I reported unpicked up trash for the third week in a row, and I got no response. So my assumption is that they are in breach of contract. They, A, have an app that guarantees response, B, have not picked up my trash, then we should probably start doing something. I mean, I hope my bin overfloweth.
When you talk about the contract, the first 2 years, they had given us an amount, and then the next 3 years, it's based on the consumer price index of trash hauling. So when I reached out to them and said, we need our amount, she's like, I can't really give you an amount. We don't know. And I'm like, we need a cost. So I've included Dan on all these emails too. So we're kind of going back and forth with them right now on what the cost of the contract is going to be this year, because we need a number for budgeting.
So the reason why I'm bringing this up is that I'm not trying to put more work on the office, but I would like to put on the website a section where people can report their trash not being picked up. Because I'm assuming that even though I am a technological illiterate, that other people have equal problems with that app and.
There is one right now, yeah. If you go to the solid waste committee section of your website, there's a place where you can basically have access to the email for the committee. I'll receive that. I have a Google sheet where I track every report that I get. That being said, the main thing that I recommend you do is just call Casella directly and talk to somebody in person. And if nothing happens, call again, call again, call again. There have been examples of people on Friday over pickup, they call on time, so they'll come back to Saturday. No guarantee it'll happen, but it has.
I forward all the driver's notes to Dan, and he's been putting those into the spreadsheet as well. We didn't get any this last Friday, just so you know. Yeah, I have not gotten any driver's notes from Friday.
Maybe they were driverless trucks.
So you were not on that list, John.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they were going the wrong way down our road, so they had to get out, come around. Weird.
Okay, so thank you very much for that information. Is there a note under the scroll down that says that if you have, can we put a note that states that if you have trash pickup problems, go to the solid waste committee?
We'll get a news bulletin. Yeah, put it under the news. Yep.
And the phone number is on your website.
Yeah, the phone number that calls on the thing. It went out in the mail right after the
Yeah.
original change, and I believe the next mail that's supposed to come out will also have that email address in it as well. Have the email address and phone.
Okay, thank you.
Ultimately, like, I'm gonna collect as much information as I can and document that, but I can't get them to show up. Like we-
No. My rant was not focused on you. It's just a frustration that builds and builds and builds, so.
Would you like to be copied on the driver's notes to see what the missed pickups are? I'll add the select board when I forward them to the solid waste committee. I'll just add you in that forwarding and you can see what I see on Mondays when they come through.
Certainly is a head scratcher when I do pick up my particular, it's not all about me, but I must be a microcosm. They back into my driveway and the little man gets out and lifts these huge buckets into the back. I mean, it cannot be.
So the arm isn't even picking them up? Hmm.
Anyway, enough about me. Is there any other correspondence? I did receive, 4 positive phone calls this week. 2 about the reappointment of Becky, and 2 about the efficient code enforcement office, so.
Good.
Want to report that? yeah.
Good to hear.
It's good. Well, it's good for me to hear. All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn unless there's anything else from
So moved.
moving second to adjourn. All in favor? Thank you very much for attending.